My parents refused to babysit my son. Your kid's not our problem, Dad said. I just smiled. Then your bills aren't mine either. Within 24 hours, every account in my name went dark. By nightfall they were blowing up my phone and then... Unfortunately, my parents are selfish people. They always have been. I just spent most of my life pretending not to see it, because it's easier to deny the truth than accept that the people who raised you would drop you the second you needed something back. They loved the image of being good parents. The Facebook posts, the family dinners where they sat at the head of the table like royalty, the gifts they'd show off that I'd paid for. But when it came to anything that wasn't convenient for them, I was on my own. When I got pregnant with Liam, they acted like I'd ruined their lives. My dad asked if I was going to move in with them for now, then added that it would be temporary because they weren't going to raise another kid. I wasn't asking them to, I never had. But I still thought that deep down they'd show up eventually. I paid their electric bill every month without being asked. Paid off their maxed out credit cards, 3 of them. Replaced their broken water heater. When my mom lost her phone, I bought her a new one and added her to my plan. When my dad's car wouldn't start, I paid for the tow, the repairs, and the insurance premium he'd fallen behind on. And not once did I throw it in their face. I did it because they were my parents. So when I had to go on a mandatory work trip to Boston and my usual sitter bailed, I called them thinking maybe this was their moment to step up. Just for a weekend. Friday morning to Sunday evening. That's it. 2 days. My dad didn't even hesitate. We're not your babysitters. Your kid's not our problem. I waited for my mom to chime in. She just said they had plans and couldn't cancel. That I should have figured it out sooner. I stood there in their kitchen, Liam clinging to my leg, and all I could think was, this is what it looks like when people show you exactly who they are. No discussion. No compromise. Just a flat-out no, as if I'd asked them to donate a kidney. I didn't argue. I just smiled. Then your bills aren't mine either. I left without another word. Drove home, put Liam down for a nap, and sat at my desk with a cup of coffee and a clear head. By the time he woke up, I'd already cut them off. Every bill in my name that had anything to do with them, gone. Their phones, disconnected. Their streaming accounts, logged out. Their Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, even the Wi-Fi they never paid for, revoked. My mom's new iPhone was still physically working but without service. My dad's gym membership, canceled. I even rerouted the autopay on their mortgage help. They could call the bank themselves. By nightfall my phone was blowing up. First it was texts, then the calls started. My mom's messages jumped from guilt to rage to pleading in less than an hour. My dad left me a voicemail saying he was disappointed in how I was handling things. That I was punishing them over a simple no. It wasn't just about the no. It was the fact that they said it so easily. So confidently. Like Liam was just some neighbor's kid and not their own grandson. I didn't reply. I had other things to deal with. Thankfully, a friend from work helped me find a trusted sitter last minute, and I left for Boston the next morning with Liam in good hands. The trip went fine. My meetings were productive, and for the first time in a while, I didn't feel like I was carrying everyone else's life on my back. But my parents didn't stop. By the time I landed back home Sunday night, I had over 30 messages. The tone had shifted. They said they'd canceled their lake weekend, that they were home now and could watch Liam if I still needed them. Right. Now that the electric bill was in their name. Now that the phone lines were dead. Now that they realized how much I was doing for them, suddenly they had time. I waited a day before I answered. I was still angry, but I didn't want to make a decision based on emotion. Eventually I texted back. Told them Liam would be over Friday morning and I'd pick him up Sunday night. They replied almost immediately. Sure. Of course. Looking forward to it. I wanted to believe it was a turning point. That maybe this would reset things. That they'd take it seriously. But I didn't know yet that the worst part hadn't even happened. That weekend would change everything. Friday morning started quietly. I got Liam dressed, packed his favorite blanket, a few toys, and enough snacks to last the weekend. He was in a good mood, bouncing around, excited that Grandma and Grandpa's house meant cartoons and cookies. I didn't want to ruin it for him. When we pulled up, my mom opened the door already smiling, pretending like everything between us was perfectly fine. Her voice was sugary sweet, almost rehearsed. My dad was behind her, still in his robe, holding a coffee mug like it was any other Friday. They greeted Liam, hugged him, and acted like the last argument hadn't even happened. I didn't say much. Just went over the basic things. His bedtime, the emergency contacts, what he likes to eat. My mom waved me off, saying they'd be fine. I handed her the diaper bag and kissed Liam goodbye. He was happy. I told them I'd be back Sunday night. The flight to Boston went smoothly. I was distracted with work, meetings, presentations. For the first time in a long time, I felt light, like I wasn't responsible for everyone else's life. I even went out for dinner with a few coworkers, something I hadn't done in months. Saturday morning, I texted my mom asking how things were going. She replied hours later with 2 words. "Everything's fine." That was it. No picture, no video, not even a short story about something Liam said. My mom usually overshared when it came to him. The silence felt off, but I told myself to let it go. Maybe she was trying to prove they could handle it. Maybe this was their way of showing maturity. Sunday morning around 9 a.m. my phone rang. It was my Uncle Mark. He rarely calls unless it's important. When I answered, his voice was shaking. "Liv, don't panic. But I just left your parents' house." I sat down immediately. "What happened?" "I went over there to drop off your dad's tool set. I figured I'd visit Liam while I was there." No one answered the door, but I heard something inside. My stomach dropped. "What did you hear?" "A baby crying. Loud. Non-stop." I waited, knocked again, called your mom, your dad. Nothing. No cars in the driveway, no movement inside. After 10 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I broke a window and went in. The room spun for a second. He took a breath before continuing. Liam was alone. Sitting in his playpen, face red, screaming. His diaper was soaked. There were half-eaten snacks on the counter and an open bottle of wine. Nobody was there, Liv. Not a soul. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. I took him with me. He's fine now. He's safe here, I promise. But you need to come back. I ended the call, booked the first flight out, and was at the airport within an hour. I didn't text my parents. I didn't want to. I didn't trust myself not to say something I couldn't take back. The flight felt endless. I stared out the window the entire time, imagining my son crying in that empty house, reaching out for someone who wasn't there. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him scared and alone. When I finally landed and drove straight to Uncle Mark's place, his car was parked in the driveway, and right beside it, my parents. They were already there. Of course they were. Mark must have called them after he found Liam. For a full minute, I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel, staring at their vehicle. I could see the light from the living room window, silhouettes moving inside. They were waiting for me, probably rehearsing excuses, maybe even trying to twist the story before I walked in. But I wasn't coming to listen. I was coming to end something. When I walked into my uncle's house, I didn't feel anything. No panic, no sadness, just a cold clarity, like everything inside me had switched off. Liam was asleep on the couch, curled up in a blanket with his stuffed bear half slipping from his hand. His little face was blotchy from crying and his lashes were still damp. My Uncle Mark stood nearby, watching over him. He gave me a small nod when I stepped in. There was no judgment in his face. Just the kind of quiet support that tells you someone is on your side, no matter what's about to happen. And I was about to make sure no one in that room ever forgot this day. Across from the couch sat my parents. My mom looked up when I came in but dropped her eyes the moment she saw my face. My dad didn't even stand. He just leaned forward with his elbows on his knees, like he was waiting for me to calm down and get rational. I didn't say a word. I walked straight across the room and slapped my mother. Hard. The sound of it cracked the silence like a gunshot. She gasped, grabbed her cheek, but I was already turning to my father. I hit him too, not as hard but hard enough. His head jerked slightly and he just stared at me like he couldn't believe I had the nerve. "You left him." That was all I said at first. My mom started crying immediately, saying she was sorry, saying it wasn't supposed to happen like that they only meant to step out for a few hours, that they were at a friend's birthday and got caught up, that they didn't mean to fall asleep there. "You left a 3-year-old alone in a locked house. You didn't call me. You didn't ask anyone to check in. You didn't tell a neighbor. You just left him crying in a crib for God knows how long while you went to get drunk." I turned to my uncle. How long had he been alone? Mark hesitated. Long enough for his diaper to leak. Long enough to cry himself hoarse. "I don't know when they left, Liv. But it wasn't just an hour." I looked at my mom. "You do this to me, I can live with it. You've been disappointing me for years." But to him, "Baby." My dad stood up finally, holding his hands out like that would calm things down. "We made a mistake, okay? We know it was wrong. You've made mistakes too. Don't act like you've never. Well, you don't get to use my mistakes as cover for leaving a child behind like a forgotten suitcase. I trusted you with the most important thing in my life. And you treated him like a chore you couldn't wait to escape. We didn't think it would be that long. We didn't expect. You didn't care. That's what it is. You didn't care." They both started talking at once. Apologizing. Blaming each other. Making excuses. My mom said she didn't know my dad was drinking. My dad said my mom said it was okay to stay. It was chaos. 2 adults scrambling to explain away something unforgivable. I wasn't listening anymore. I bent down, lifted Liam into my arms and kissed his forehead. He stirred, opened his eyes for a second, saw me and smiled weakly before closing them again. He was safe. That was the only thing that mattered. As I walked to the door, my mom reached out. "Liv, please. We're sorry. We'll make it right. We just want a chance to fix it. You won't get one." I stopped at the door. "You're done. Don't call. Don't show up. Don't ask to see him. If I see either of you near my house, I'll call the cops. I mean it." My dad started to say something, but I opened the door and walked out. They didn't follow. They knew. This wasn't a fight they could win. And this time I wasn't just done helping them. I was done pretending they were family. The ride back from Uncle Mark's felt surreal. Liam slept the entire way, one hand around his little stuffed bear, the other curled into a fist near his mouth. I kept my eyes on the road, but every few minutes I glanced into the mirror. I think I just needed to make sure he was really there. That he was safe. That he hadn't somehow disappeared like the version of reality I thought I lived in. When we got home, I didn't even take off my shoes. I laid him gently in bed, checked the windows, locked every door, then sat down in the kitchen with the lights off. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, staring at nothing, thinking about how close I came to losing everything because I gave people like them the benefit of the doubt. My phone vibrated on the table beside me. It was already full of messages. Voicemails, texts, missed calls. All from my parents. They switched tones every few hours. At first it was desperate apologies. Then came the blame. "We didn't leave him that long. We thought he'd be fine. You're blowing this out of proportion. You're always so emotional." Then back to desperation. "We're sorry. We'll never do it again. Don't do this to us." At around midnight, my mom sent a video from her phone. One of Liam in the living room from Friday morning, smiling and saying, "Hi, Grandma." She captioned it, "This is the real story. We love him." I stared at it for a few seconds before deleting it. That wasn't love. That was PR. The next morning there was a knock on the door. It jolted me. I peeked out the window. A delivery guy stood there with a bouquet of white roses and a small box. I opened the door just enough to take it, said nothing and closed it again. Inside the box was a charm bracelet I'd given my mom when I was 16. It was in a small velvet pouch. The note was short. "Please remember we're family. Please don't do this." The roses went straight in the trash. I threw the bracelet out too, then pulled out my laptop and blocked both their numbers. Removed them from my email whitelist. Changed my locks. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. Later that day, my aunt, Uncle Mark's wife, called me. I expected concern. Maybe support. But instead she was cautious. Almost hesitant. "Liv, I think you should know. Your mom's been calling everyone. She's telling people you've had some kind of breakdown. That you're not yourself lately." "What?" "She's saying you overreacted. That she doesn't understand why you're turning people against her. That you're unstable since becoming a single mom and that they're worried about you." That hit me harder than the slap I gave her. Not only did they neglect my son, but now they were trying to flip the narrative and paint me as unstable? I thanked my aunt and hung up. I didn't feel angry yet. I just felt cold. I said nothing to them. No posts. No explanations. I let the silence do what years of talking never could. But they didn't stop. 2 nights later, the doorbell rang just after 9. I wasn't expecting anyone. Liam was already asleep. I checked the porch camera. No one there. Just a small, square package sitting on the doormat. I waited a minute, opened the door slowly, picked it up and brought it inside. It was a photo album. One of the old ones from our house growing up. It had photos of me as a toddler, birthday parties, vacations, Christmas mornings. At first it almost got me. That familiar sting behind the eyes. That feeling of being a kid again, when everything was still simple and full of blind trust. Then I saw the note tucked in the back. My mother's handwriting. "You'll regret cutting us off. You always need your parents eventually. You can't erase us." That was it. I picked up my phone and scheduled a security installation for the next day. Full setup. Cameras, floodlights, smart locks. I even upgraded the baby monitor in Liam's room. That same night I got an anonymous message from a number I didn't recognize. No words. Just a photo. It was me standing on my front porch earlier that day holding Liam. Taken from a distance. That's when I realized this wasn't about guilt anymore. It was control. They were trying to remind me they were still close. Still watching. Still dangerous. So I made one final decision. I called a lawyer. They weren't just getting cut off. They were getting legally removed from any and every part of our lives. I didn't cry when I left Uncle Mark's that night. I didn't rage, didn't scream, didn't text my parents another word. I just drove home with Liam asleep in the back seat in the kind of silence that only comes after a door has been slammed shut for good. The next morning I called a lawyer. A real one, not a friend of a friend kind. I wanted someone who didn't know my parents, didn't have history with them and wouldn't try to talk me out of anything. He listened quietly as I laid it all out. The neglect, the lies, the manipulation, the stalking. I showed him the messages, the photos, the notes, the camera footage. He didn't flinch. He just said, "Do you want distance or do you want a wall?" I said without hesitation, "I want the wall." Still, no doors, no windows. So we started with a cease and desist. That same day I changed every password, froze every account they ever had access to, even the ones I hadn't used in years. I set new pickup rules at Liam's daycare, gave Mark's contact information as the only emergency backup, and let them know that under no circumstances were my parents to be allowed near the building. 2 days later, a sheriff showed up at their house and handed them the letter. The silence after that was eerie. Not a text, not a phone call, not even a fake apology. It was like they vanished. For about a week I started to think maybe they finally got it. Maybe the shock of legal action shook something loose in them. But then Tuesday afternoon I got a call from Liam's daycare. The tone in the director's voice made my stomach knot instantly. "Hi Olivia. Everything's okay, Liam's fine. But your parents came by." I had to sit down. They said they were there to pick him up. Claimed it was a surprise. Said you asked them to come. I could feel my heartbeat in my neck. "You didn't bring him out, right?" "Of course not. We followed protocol. Told them we had to verify." They left without a fight, but they didn't act surprised. They just walked off like they were testing something. Testing boundaries. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room in silence, the baby monitor next to me, the security feed on my phone in my lap. I checked the cameras every half hour, watching the empty street outside my house. The next morning I was back at the lawyer's office. I filed for a no-contact order. We added Liam's name specifically. I wanted it clear that they couldn't go near him, speak to him, show up at his school, or try to contact him through anyone else. They hadn't just burned a bridge, they'd set fire to the entire coastline. And yet, the final twist hadn't even come yet. That Friday evening I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something told me to answer. It was a woman, hesitant, soft-spoken. "Hi, is this Olivia? I know this is strange, but I think we need to talk. I'm the woman your parents were with the night they left your son alone." I didn't say anything. "I didn't know they were supposed to be babysitting," she said. "They told everyone they were finally free for the weekend, and said their daughter had taken the kid on a trip. They drank. A lot. Your mom got sick. Your dad passed out on my friend's couch. They were laughing, telling stories about how they raised you, tough." She paused. I didn't know what happened afterward until I heard your uncle's version. I wanted to say I'm sorry. If I had known, I would have called someone. I thanked her. Hung up. And sat there, stunned. They didn't just leave Liam. They bragged about being free. They called it a break. They drank and laughed while my son sat in a dark room crying until his voice cracked. That was the moment something inside me died. Not grief. Not sadness. Something else. Some old, dusty thing I'd been keeping around without realizing it. Hope. Hope that they'd change. Hope that one day they'd see him for who he is. Hope that maybe we could be a family. I deleted the voicemail. Blocked the number. Then I picked up Liam, kissed the top of his head, and whispered that we were going to be okay. The next day I packed a bag, picked up takeout from his favorite place, and drove to Uncle Mark's. His wife had already set the table. Chicken nuggets, apples, apple juice. For Liam it might as well have been a feast. After dinner, when Liam ran off to play, I looked at Mark across the table. I think I need to start over. Really start over. New place. New job maybe. He didn't even blink. Wherever you go, you've got a place to land. You and him both. He meant it. And I realized then, blood doesn't mean family. But people who show up when it matters. People who break a window for a crying child. That's who you build the rest of your life with. It had been almost 2 weeks since I filed the no-contact order. Since I turned the last page on the chapter titled Mom and Dad. The silence they left behind wasn't peaceful at first. It was loud, disorienting, like walking out of a concert into an empty alley where your ears still ring with ghosts. But slowly I got used to it. I started hearing Liam's laugh again without flinching. I started sleeping through the night. Then one Sunday morning, while I was folding laundry and watching Liam build a blanket fort in the living room, I realized something strange. I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of them, not of being alone, not of what people might think. The shame had drained out of me, quietly and completely, like a bad fever breaking. What was left was just life. Real normal life. And for the first time in years I felt like celebrating that. So I texted my Uncle Mark. "Dinner's on me tonight. Come hungry. Bring Lisa." He responded with a thumbs up and a picture of a peach cobbler that Lisa was apparently already halfway through baking. I spent the rest of the afternoon cooking. Nothing fancy, just roasted chicken, garlic green beans, mashed potatoes the way Liam liked them, and fresh rolls. The smell filled the house. It reminded me of the holidays before everything got so bitter and cold between my parents and me. Before I realized how much I was giving and how little they were willing to offer back. Mark and Lisa arrived right on time. Liam bolted to the door as soon as he heard Mark's voice, threw his arms around his legs, and started rapid-firing stories about dinosaurs, a bird he saw, and how he was going to dig a tunnel to Grandpa Mark's house. Lisa brought the cobbler still warm. Mark handed me a small bag. Inside was a little plastic fire truck. Liam's favorite thing in the world lately. I didn't cry, but I felt it in my chest. That slow, rising pressure of gratitude you can't put into words. We ate outside on the patio. The weather was perfect, cool enough to need a sweater, warm enough to leave the windows open. Liam ran in circles in the grass, holding the fire truck above his head like it could fly. Mark leaned back in his chair and looked around. You've got a good thing here, Liv. Peace. I nodded. I know. I just didn't realize how much noise they brought with them until it was gone. He didn't need me to say who they were. After dinner, I poured us tea and we stayed out a little longer. Lisa took Liam inside for a bath and Mark stayed behind. I turned to him. You saved us, you know. He shook his head. Well, I did what anyone should have done. That's the thing, I said. No one else did. He looked down at his hands, then back up at me. You think they'll try again? They already did. They'll try again. Just not through the front door. They'll find someone who doesn't know the story and try to squeeze through the cracks. But I've sealed them shut. You're not worried? I'm not now. He paused, then said something I didn't expect. Your mom called me the night the sheriff handed them the papers. I raised my eyebrows. She asked me if I'd testify against her if this ever went to court. I told her I'd break the window again and again if it meant protecting that boy. She hung up. I haven't heard from her since. We sat in silence for a moment. The sky above us had turned a deep navy. Thank you, I said. Not just for Liam. For staying neutral for so long, and then choosing the right side when it counted. Your family, Liv. Not just because we're blood. Because you've always shown up. Even when no one showed up for you. He stood up, stretched, and looked inside where Liam was now wrapped in a towel, laughing at something Lisa said. You're not alone. You've got your people now. Even if it's not the ones you were born with. When they left that night, Liam was already asleep. I closed the door behind them, locked it, and stood there for a while. The house was warm, quiet, safe. There was no banging on the door. No flowers on the porch. No guilt disguised as forgiveness. Just me and my son, finally untangled from the people who never deserved us. I didn't just survive them. I outgrew them. And I built something better, not in spite of them, but because I finally stopped waiting for them to change.